Israel's government has approved a plan to expand illegal settlements in the occupied Golan Heights. It comes a week after the army invaded the UN buffer zone between the territory and southern Syria. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that the government acted in light of the new front facing Syria and wants to double the Israeli population on the Golan Heights, while he says Israel's policy towards Syria is still undetermined.
We have no interest in confronting Syria. We will determine Israel's policy towards Syria according to the emerging reality on the ground. I remind you that for decades, Syria was an active enemy state to Israel. It attacked us again and again. It allowed others to attack us from its territory. It allowed Iran to arm Hezbollah through its territory.
Joining us now is Geist, Pinfold, a lecturer in peace and security studies from Durham University in England. Good to have you with us on the programme. Israel's attacks continue on a country that can't really defend itself right now, and some analysts have said it's just a land grab that's happening under the noses of Damascus. Can the Syrians in any way stop this?
Well, I don't think they can do it themselves, and I don't think they can do it through militarily confronting Israel. That would just basically give Israel the green light to up its attacks and say, we told you so, these guys are hostile, even if, in their mind, they're just responding to what Israel's doing. If I was the HTS leadership at the moment and the basically de facto government of Syria, what I would be doing would be trying to talk to the international community, countries like Turkey, whose stock has very much risen, but also the United States, and try and get them to pressure Israel to stop its attacks. Obviously, the Biden administration's record in this is very, very poor. So far, we've seen that in Gaza, we've seen that in Lebanon. But I think that's all HTS and Syria can do at the moment, exert that diplomatic pressure in exchange for engagement with the international community.
But are we in a holding pattern, though, until Trump arrives?
Yes, I think there is a degree of that, but I also don't think it's just Trump that's the factor here. For Israel, they're worried about Turkey. They feel that Turkey is basically going to take over Syria as kind of the new, and basically turn it into its new protectorate. Just as Iran was previously calling the shots in Damascus, they now think Ankara is going to do that next. And the Israelis and Turkey have not got on in recent years, it's fair to say. So Israel is very concerned about having Turkish agency on its border, which is one of the key reasons why it's doing what it's doing.
I suppose Israel really can't have its cake and eat it, because no matter whoever takes charge of Damascus is never going to be seen as a friend of Israel. So if we just move on, why is then Israel targeting Tartus right now?
Well, I don't even just think Israel is looking for a friend. Netanyahu went out to remind us there that Syria's been a hostile enemy state for decades. But then if we listen to al-Sharar's speech the other day, he specifically said we are not seeking a confrontation with Israel, yet it's still Israel that's launching all these strikes. Now, the strike on Tartus, I think, is significant because it's been, the effect has been so big. It shattered windows for miles around, though that was possibly from secondary explosions as well as the strike itself. Now, Tartus is, there's a Russian base in the region, in that area, and it's also the Alawite coastal heartland. So what probably happened is Israeli intelligence is scrambling to try and find any weapons depots or military infrastructure from the previous regime, and is basically it feels it's in a race against time. It wants to strike while it still has the operational freedom to do so, though at the same time, as we've often seen with Israel's military actions in the past, this is just inviting political criticism and the international community to escalate its attempts to stop Israel from doing so.
Do you think that the conversation is going to be a long one, certainly with the Americans, in terms of how sanctions will be lifted? They're the pivot, aren't they, around which this issue revolves?
Yes, and I think the Americans are going to use it as a reward rather than the gift. They basically want HTS to carry on its path of moderation. They want it to demonstrate that its actions on the ground match its words, and only then will they be willing to consider relieving sanctions.
We shall see what happens, I'm sure, as the hours progress. For the moment, Geist, Pinfold, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.